Hi everyone and welcome to this week's episode. And I have a beautiful guest with me today, Anne-Laurie Forbes, but in kind of with her podcast, plus her a stepmom journey. Thank you very much for being here. I'm really looking forward to doing this episode with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you as well.
Perfect. So, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your podcast before we just dive into the questions?
Absolutely. So, like you said, I'm Anne-Laurie Forbes. I'm a wife. I'm a stepmom. I'm a strong believer and doer of women's empowerment. I'm a stepmom advocate, and I'm the creator and the host of Plus Her Stepmom Journey podcast.
So, what did inspire you to start this podcast?
Mm. So I started it as a way to pay it forward, to be honest. So when I started my journey about like 10 years ago, I didn't have too many people that I could go to for some advice, for some help along my journey. And so I had a colleague who's now one of my closest girlfriends. She was getting married and she was becoming a stepmom. And so she would share her stories with me, her personal experience and what she's going through along the journey. And that helped me. And so one of the reasons I started it was thinking that this was my way of paying it forward. Her personal story helped me along my journey. And so why not share the stories of other stepmoms to help us, along our journey. And then also started a little bit out of frustration that we are so misunderstood, and knowing stepmoms in my own life that I know they're trying their best, that they're good people, but yet, there's that evil narrative about them just because they're stepmoms. And so out of frustration of being misunderstood, I thought to myself, I want to share the stories of real stepmoms, not fictional characters, but real stepmoms, and give an insight to the world of the realities of step parenting. And so that's why I started the podcast.
That's beautiful, and thank you for doing it because it's always so good to know that you are not alone. They're all stepmoms, and no matter because you're based in Toronto, Canada,
Right.
I'm in the UK, originally from the Czech Republic, but no matter who I talk to, we go through the same things, no matter where you live, no matter how old are you, or where is your background coming from,
Mhm.
we're all going through the same thing. And one of the main thing is this, the evil stepmom going on, or that we are terrible people. And I
Yeah.
really, really like that you are on the mission of helping stepmoms, especially the ones who are just starting their journey, or just dealing with all the same things and mess we had to deal at the
Right.
beginning. And I was listening to one of your podcast episodes, and like not just one, obviously, but one episode, it's just I had to pause it. It's like I need to write it down and ask you about it
Mhm.
because you said that being a stepmom is like having a little dirty secret, and I was like, this is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
How come I didn't think, to put the name on it, or I just saying it?
Mhm.
It is like having a little dirty secret.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about it? Because yeah, I exactly it's like, yep, me, and that's exactly me.
You're like, me too, me too.
Me too, yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, the two main factors I would say at the beginning of my journey. So, friends and family. So, with my friends, I started my journey in my early 20s. And at that time, none of my friends were married. None of my friends had children. We were single, sexy free. And so, this was not the phase that we were in the phase of our lives. And so, when it came to my friends, not that they made me feel like it was a dirty little secret, but it just was, coming to them and saying that I'm now dating this man who has children was it was a little bit too much adulting for them. We weren't there yet, right? And so because of that, they just did not understand, you know, my journey, or did not understand this experience dating somebody with children because they weren't at that phase. And so when it came to my friends, I spoke about this man that I'm falling in love with, but I shied away from speaking about the parenting aspect, the fact that I could potentially become a stepmom, because they just did not understand it. They weren't there. Some of them were not even thinking about marriage or children. So it just wasn't that phase of life for us at that time in my early 20s. So that's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect is my family.
Oh yeah.
So, for my family, I come from a very conservative and religious background. And so we don't believe in divorce. Um, Children out of wedlock is frowned upon. Teen pregnancy is frowned upon. And, you know, uh, my family, like everybody's been married forever, my aunts and uncles and whatnot. And so now coming to them with this, this thing of I'm dating somebody who has children is completely out of the norm for them, completely out of the norm for them. And so, it raised a lot of questions and it raised a lot of concerns, more, more than the typical, what are your plans for my daughter? Questions. It raised way more than that because it's like, so he has children. So was he divorced? Did he have children out of wedlock? Like, when did this happen? What's the situation? It just raised so many concerns. And, we tend to judge what we don't understand. And it took a long time for my family to wrap their mind around the fact that I was getting serious with this man and that, I was potentially going to marry him and this would be my future becoming a stepmom. And so because of that, their lack of understanding, even though I was my boyfriend and I at the time, now my husband, we were getting serious about each other. I would receive comments like, keep your options open, you never know. um if at family gatherings it was like, you don't need to say that he has children, like you don't need to say that part, right? And so, those comments and the disregard for my relationship and the underlying attitude of like, how could you possibly be happy with the situation? Like, how are you going to be happy with the situation? So, I would say that combined with the fact that I myself was not yet confident in this journey, I had not fully embraced the fact that this was going to be a possibility for me becoming a stepmom. Um, all of that combined really made it feel like a dirty little secret because, here I am happy in this relationship, but these comments that I'm receiving, the side eye, the opinions, and all of that, and just the, don't say that he has children type of thing, really left me feeling like this was something to hide. This was something not to be upfront about. Um, and it's a shame because it made me feel as if becoming a stepmom was a shameful thing. And that's unfortunate because I was happy and I am happy. I'm not married and I have two beautiful stepsons and I'm happy.
Mm. It's really true, and I can, I'm not coming from a really religious background. My grandparents, and especially my grandmother, she was religious, so but she was kind of like, there was religion, but took into certain levels,
Right.
But my dad, especially, he's a bit old-fashioned, and he's gonna be 60 in a few months. But he was exactly like that. You said that I fear for him to tell him that I'm dating
Mhm.
someone with a child. And it was when I said it that it straight away, friends and family, like be careful, you know, be careful. That was one of the most things I heard. Be careful. Like don't get too involved or don't get too attached to him because he
Yeah,
has the kids. I think it doesn't, okay. And it was, when you start dating someone, everyone is excited for you, unless they see red
typically.
flags. Yeah, exactly. Especially if they don't see really like big, massive red flags straight away,
Mhm.
they are happy for you. But if you're dating someone who is either divorcing or have children, or I'm sure if they were not married before but they have a children, that's a massive issue for so many people. Why he didn't marry her, why.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is the whole thing. And it can really cause that you start asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? You know?
And that's the thing. It's the thing is that, like I said, I myself was not yet confident in this journey and the fact that this was a possibility for me, that I'm getting serious with this guy. I'm going to become a stepmom if we get married. And so the fact that I was not yet confident, and then hearing all those comments, and like you had to block the noise because that made it worse. That made me doubt myself. Like, do I really want to do this? Would I really be happy? And so all of that just made me be like, let me just tuck this away and not really say anything.
No, that's very true. That all the opinions and people's they come from a good place. They mean
Hmm.
well. Uh, but at the same time, it's like, well, you don't even know him, or you haven't met him, or and it's something that I believe the dads, if you're dating a single dad, he's in a really tough position because he needs to prove himself much more,
Hmm.
to your family and your friends than just a guy. He does not have a kids. He's just a guy, and how you said, they will be okay. What are your intentions, and what do you do for a living? And that will be probably it.
Right. And you know what? I want to add two things to that. Is one of the things when when we were dating at the beginning stages of a relationship, I would tell my parents, well, what if it was me who, I was in a previous relationship, I had a child, it didn't work out, and I'm looking for love. Don't I deserve love? Don't I deserve to, find somebody else and fall in love and get married? Would you look at it the same way if, it was me who had the child? So there's that. And there's also, one of the conversations that my husband had with my parents, he said, you can't judge someone based on how you were raised and where you come from and your beliefs, right? Because not everybody was raised like you. Not everybody comes from the same background as you. So to make assumptions of this single father based on how you were raised and how you see things is not fair, right? Because he doesn't come from that same background or may not think the same way. So it's unfair. It's unfair. And I can say that my journey, not only was it eye-opening and a humbling experience for me, but it was also eye-opening and a humbling experience for my family as well.
There you go. Good for you. Like, in a way, like, good for you, because I'm sure that you may, you open their eyes, or just
Absolutely.
they are more. I believe they are more understanding. Just as my
Yeah.
family and my friends, they are now more understanding. And it's interesting thing. I just thought it crossed my mind when you were saying about your husband, when he had to go through and explaining himself. I remember I was talking to one single dad once, and he was saying that he was picking up his kids at school, and some like school mom said, "Oh, I haven't seen you and your wife together in a while. What's going on?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, actually, we are separating. We are separated, and we're divorcing now." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. What did you do?" And he just stood there and just looked at her, and like, and he kind of like didn't say anything. He and
Hmm. Hmm.
especially in this case, it was actually his ex-wife who wanted divorce, or who caused the breakup of the family. And actually, he said, fair enough, the person apologized to him, and he said, "I'm
Good.
really sorry, but it just came out of me like automatically, when someone is divorcing or breaking up or is single dad, it's automatically to be blamed for."
Yes, the man is the one to be blamed for automatically. And it's funny because you sharing that story, I feel like you're talking about my husband because he absolutely hates that as well. Hearing, being a single father and getting that question, well, yeah, what did you do? Or where's mom or this and that? It's like, why? That's not necessary, those comments.
Yeah, it is interesting how stepmoms are put in a position that we possibly, were the home wreckers, then the dads were the one to blame, and then moms, single moms, are sometimes looked as like, oh, poor her.
They're
And
praised though.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're praised, and not every mom wants this. Not every single mom wants this sort of attention. They want to be empowered, or they want to have a different kind of look as well at
Hmm.
themselves. So it's interesting how in a blended family, everyone has kind of,
Has their burden to bear.
yeah. But
We can't win. We can't win.
no, we just have to go and prove ourselves at some point and change people's opinion and being here on a podcast and spreading the word about
There you
like
go.
it's not black and white, all black and white, and it's not just the
Mhm.
one way. Anyway, as a stepmoms, we obviously make a lot of mistakes, or we have a lot of, I call them like lessons more, that
Mhm.
like I made mistakes or I had my lessons. What do you think they were your biggest lessons that you have learned so far?
Oh, I love lessons learned. I love it because I'm all about self-development and self-improvement. So, biggest lessons learned on my journey, I have two. So, at the beginning of my journey, I would say that I learned to stop trying to be a stepmom superhero. Um, stop self-sacrificing and just forgetting about myself or, just trying to please everybody, right? And trying to prove to others that I can do this. Don't worry, I can do this. And sometimes I had no clue what I was doing, but just trying to prove that I know what I'm doing and prove that I could be a stepmom, especially because, like I said, there was a lot of comments, right? And there was a lot of comments, a lot of questions and concerns. And so once I've embraced it, I was trying to prove that I can do it all. So one of my biggest lessons learned was definitely to stop trying to be a stepmom superhero. That's at the beginning of my journey. And so along my journey, and still now, a lesson learned and a daily reminder is that it takes time. It takes time. Um, I was with my husband for a very long time before we got married, and I've been married for a year and a half. And not just because now we're suddenly married that like magically things are just going to feel perfect and we're just going to be, a cohesive family and everything's going to flow and whatnot. No, there's no magic here. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes understanding, it takes love, it takes respect, and it takes time. And that's another lesson learned that was along my journey and still now is a daily reminder for me.
No, that's it's exactly me. It's really you have said at the beginning. We're going through
You feel me?
the same things because oh dear, what I was doing sometimes to prove myself, and
Oh my, don't even let me think about it. I'm embarrassed.
no, if I would write down, I would like sometimes I start writing down the things I done or said, and I'm like, what I was thinking.
Why?
Like,
Why?
why did I think this is a good idea? Because
Mm,
obviously, I don't know, there were so many silly things, but really just ridiculous things. When you look
hmm
back, now you probably would, we would say like, oh, we would be laughing about it, but back then we would cry.
We were serious. Back then, we were serious, and you could not tell us any different because we were serious about it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember driving myself crazy, doing it when you
Yeah.
still eating, doing it all. And then I found out that it really led to kind of start creating a bit of resentment towards my now husband because
hmm
I was upset that like, oh, I am doing, XYZ, I'm doing it all, and you don't see it, you don't appreciate it. I gave up a lot of things. I
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
does it sound familiar? Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave up this, I'm doing that. And my husband, that was before we got married, he looked and was like, but I didn't ask you to do any of this.
Absolutely. And he's right.
And that was the point when I thought like I'm gonna slap him. I was like, I'm just gonna I was
Yeah.
I want to hurt him or do something like what? And then I stopped
How
my
could you not see my efforts?
yeah. And then I stopped. I was like, yeah, but that's true. He never asked me. And that was just me
It was
proving
all yours. Yeah.
that I can do it better and I will be better than anyone else.
Well, you know what? And it ties in with what my mission is for my podcast, changing the evil mom. When you think one of the reasons that we are overcompensating or we are trying so hard is because we don't want to be associated with that evil narrative. We
Mhm.
don't want to be known as that stepmom, right? We want to be known as the one who did it better, the one who's doing this and who's doing that. And, it's roses and unicorns. Like, it's because we don't want to be associated with that narrative. And so that's one of my main goals, to share the real stories, like share the good and the bad, because there's bad, there's ups and there's downs, but to share all of it so that we can fully understand a stepmom's journey.
Did you find out, like what I found out by myself when I was in that period when I was trying so hard? I was actually, that was the point when we had the most arguments. I crossed, I crossed the boundaries of
Mm-hmm.
my mother, my mother, the mother of my stepdaughter, my husband's. There was a time when I made like the mistakes, or when I really just did so much that it was actually no good, and it led to some issues or problems or just conversations to have. Do you feel the same that if you
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm right there with you because we were focused on the wrong thing. We were fixated on the wrong thing. And, we are causing issues because we are trying to force our husbands to see it our way. Like, look at what I'm doing. Look at everything I am doing. And you are not appreciative of this. And you don't think that I'm the best you ever had. Like, we are so fixated on, everything that we are doing. And we want them to think like us. And they don't think like us. And like this, they didn't force you to leave whatever you claim that you've left. Whatever you claim that you've sacrificed, it's your choice, right? Like, it's your choice. So the more we fixate on the wrong things and not the bigger picture, which is, our family and whatnot, it is always going to cause issues, always going to cause conflict, because we're fixated on the wrong things. We have to shift our focus, take a step back, reevaluate the whole situation, what it is that we want out of here, what is it that we really are doing, so that we can like live in harmony, or else there's going to be conflict all the time.
no,
And who wants that?
absolutely, I'm glad that, like, okay, I'm not the only one who made more mess, but
Trust me,
by
you are
trying
not the only one.
making more mess by trying to be the best. And what I really like, I was obviously going through all your Instagram and everything, and
Mhm.
because even though we follow each other for a while now, I was like, you forget things.
Yeah.
I was just scrolling down, and I came across one of your posts that you mentioned that you didn't like at the beginning, that kind of the title or label stepmom, and it's really interesting because I didn't really mind being called stepmom,
Mhm.
but what now, being a pregnant, it's I can't stand a bio mom, you know, and it's in a way that's like, it's if you're happy with it, for who if you are stepmom and you're happy to call yourself bio mom, that's perfectly okay. But for me, it's like I would never call my child my bio child or my son
Mhm.
like as a bio mom. It's just something is that it doesn't sit with me. I don't like it. But why the stepmom was triggering for you?
Yeah, I hated the word. I hated the word. I did not want to be called stepmom. And once again, I keep going back to that evil narrative because that's the root of the problem. Um, I did not want to be associated with that. I knew that I'm a great person. Why would I be associated with like the evil stepmom? So I did not like the word. I hated the word. And I jumped from bonus mom, instant mom, stepmom. Like, I jumped from the titles, jumped from one title to the next. And it's so funny because one of my girlfriends, my friends were trying to keep up with me. I mean, I guess out of respect or making sure they get it right. And so one of my girlfriends said to me once, and I laughed about it and realized how like ridiculous it sounded, I guess. She said, okay, so now is it okay for me to say stepmom, or you still want me to say bonus mom? Like, which one can I use now? Um, and so I realized like this is so ridiculous. I keep jumping from titles and, from this title and that title. And, my husband doesn't like any of the titles. He doesn't like bonus mom, instant mom. My husband would say to me, he would say, my love, you have become a parent. That's it. You're a parent. And he said, stop focusing on the title and focus on the role and focus on bonding with the children, focus on, like fostering that relationship with them. And so when he said that, I was like, yeah, like I'm so fixated on this title, but the title doesn't make if you have issues with your stepchildren, the title doesn't make them love you more. It doesn't make them love you less. At the end of the day, whether you want to call yourself bonus mom, whether you want to call yourself instant mom, stepmom, we're still caring for children we did not give birth to. That's what it is.
Exactly.
It doesn't change what we are doing, the role, it doesn't change whatever you want to call it to comfort yourself or make yourself feel better. It doesn't change the fact that we did not give birth to them. They're not biologically ours. It doesn't change that fact. And so, once again, it goes back to shifting that focus to not being fixated on the title, but making sure that I continue to bond with my stepchildren. Forget the title. And I mean, now I've embraced my journey. I've embraced the word, the role. I don't mind. I mean, my podcast is plus her a stepmom's journey. That's what it is. The word doesn't make me feel any less of a woman. Like my value is not attached to the title stepmom. And so, like, let's stop focusing on the title stepmom, bonus mom, instant mom. You're a parent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting when even you said your husband was a didn't like bio or step or the bonus
Bonus.
or Insta. I was talking to my husband about it, and he was like, "What? Why are you talking about like what bonus mom?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's the bonus mom or bio mom." And he said,
Right.
"That's ridiculous." And when we were talking about the bio mom, he said it's actually horrible. How would you? He said, like, why would you call yourself bio mom, or why would you
Mm-hmm.
call my ex-wife bio mom? And
Yeah.
I said, exactly. For me, she's mom. She's my stepdaughter's mom. And,
Right.
and but again, everyone, feels differently about these titles. There's so many. I usually stick in with the mother of my stepchildren or mother of her stepchildren. So I just usually stick with that. But it's very interesting how what you said that you again we were focusing on something
So
else
small.
so small. And I was the same. I was thinking, well, should I be like when I'm talking to people online, or should I call myself like the bonus mom? But I don't really
Mhm.
like them being the bonus mom. I know I don't really like that I'm something extra for her or something. Yeah, it's like I don't like that. And exactly like you, instead of focusing on the relationship with my stepdaughter, I was focusing on how I should be calling myself.
And it depends on where you are on your journey, right? It depends where you are on your journey, and it also depends on the dynamics you have in your family. I mean, you can't really be considered bonus mom if, let's say, the mother is not in the picture. How are you bonus? Like she's not even there. What are you adding to, right? Like so, it depends on the dynamics. It depends on the where you are on the journey, but at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing.
Exactly. So just in case you listening and you new stepmom or stepmom to be, you know, don't need to focus on on the label. You will figure it like as you
Absolutely.
go. You will figure it out, and what feels right or what feels okay for you. And on the end of the day, like my stepdaughter calls me by my name anyway. She doesn't call me hey stepmom.
Hey, stepmom. Hey, bio mom. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine if she would tell her own mom by, like, hi, bio mom. Oh my, can you imagine? That would be
Like,
interesting.
no, that's her mother. I mean,
Yeah,
like, I always remember what my husband says. You're a parent. That's it.
that's it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And what do you think about when, there are a lot of tips about like what, do and don'ts for stepmoms, or what would you say was the best advice you ever got, or,
Mm.
for to be a stepmom or in a blended family relationship, whatever.
there's a lot of tips out there. There's a lot of advice. But you're going to learn as you go. Some of the tips and advice may not apply to your journey or apply for you, your family. So you're going to learn as you go. But I think I've received a lot of amazing advice, and the majority of them comes from my husband. The
Ah,
majority of it comes from my husband, and I think, like we just said it, actually, I think that's one of the best ones, is not to focus on the title. I think that was one of the best ones, and that came from my husband, to just focus on, the bigger picture, which is my family and bonding with my family. So I'll pick that one. Yeah, that was the best one for my husband.
but it's beautiful, and it's interesting how I can see a lot of stepmoms are not really listening to their partners and not trusting them in a way, like in a co-parenting or parenting. That there was a point for me as well when I was, there was doing it better and being perfect period, and I could see, like, I saw that I didn't listen to him, or like I
Mhm.
didn't have the listening. I had some sort of filters in my ears, and I didn't listen to him. I didn't fully trust him in terms of that he will sort out the mess or he will do X, Y, Z. And there's a lot of things that we don't sometimes listen to our partners or take it like, oh, you don't know what I'm going through. But we all been there. We all been there. But it's interesting how you said that the best advice came from your husband.
Mhm.
And I must say, like, a lot of things came from my husband as well. That when he said, "Why did you do that?" Or like, "Why are you even doing this? Why are you pushing so hard? Why are you trying so hard?" So,
Mhm.
would you recommend to stepmoms to start listening and start trusting the part?
Yes, absolutely. Start communicating. Communicate with your partner. Uh, don't just, bury those feelings and emotion and whatever it is that you are experiencing. Start communicating with your partner, open up to them, and be also receptive to advice, and be receptive to somebody telling you, like somebody checking you, that, hey, like, this is wrong. Like, be receptive to that, right? You're not going to grow if it's just, I'm absolutely right and I know what I'm doing and this and that. You have to respect your partner, that's the father of the children, right? And so just be receptive and open to what it is that they have to say, communicate, and yeah, sometimes, and listen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so hard to just close your
It's
mouth
very hard.
and listen. It's really hard for women. I think it's more difficult for us than for a man. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's just how we are wired, and
Absolutely.
how we deal with like how we process information and this. But it's
Yeah, it's very hard. I mean, it's easy to say to the new stepmoms, but trust me, it's a daily reminder for myself, right? And like I said, my stepmom journey was really eye-opening and a humbling experience, because when you said, like, we don't trust that they can handle it, and they don't understand this and that, I am a perfectionist and I'm a control freak. And so being a stepmom, there's nothing perfect about it. You can't control your stepmom. You can't control a lot of things, you can't control. So it was such a humbling experience. And I was forced to step back and listen.
what do you think it forced you? Did you actually, when you said I was forced to step back? I know, like, nobody forced you.
Mhm.
But
The situation forced me, in the sense that I can't control it. I can't control, external factors, internal factors. It's out of my control. It's out of my control.
was there any, like, breaking point when you said, like, okay, and now it's time to step back?
Um, hmm.
Or it was just like, okay, I had enough.
I can't I can't say there was as one particular instance where it was a breaking point, but I can say that I was just tired of the conflict and arguing with my husband. I was tired of arguing, and trying to make him see things my way. I just didn't want the conflict. Like, I love him, I love the boys, and it's like, let's just try and figure this out. I was tired of the arguing. And so at that point, I realized, okay, I need to step back and reevaluate things and change my perspective on things, or else it's just, we're not going to be a happy family. We're not, because I'm going to be miserable and I'm going to make the rest of them miserable. And that's not right.
This is like so simply said when you said I was tired.
Mm-hmm.
It that's exactly that's the breaking point when you like most of the stepmoms have sooner or later. Then when you
Right.
are just tired and
And you
you
give up, you surrender.
yeah, and you're tired of yourself, you're tired of the arguments,
Mhm.
that's exactly the breaking point. It's really like it's such a simple thing to say, like I was just tired. But but exactly when you surround it and it's like, okay, obviously this doesn't work. Whatever I've been doing here, it just doesn't work. I'm tired of this. And I felt exactly the same. I was just tired of arguing. I was tired of crying myself to sleep. I was tired of constantly Googling, what what I
Googling the 10 steps to, being a happy, like whatever it is, Googling the 10 steps, the 15 common mistakes and this and that. Yeah.
and
A lot you will just learn on your journey. It's trial and error. Like parenting, parenting, it's parenting. It's trial and error, marriage, like everything you learn along the way. Your mistakes become your lessons learned, which is why I love lessons learned, because it's like these were my mistakes and I've learned from them and I've grown from that. I've matured from that place. So you just learn along your journey. You could Google whatever it is that you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to learn from your own journey. And that's why it's so important to me to share the personal stories of stepmoms, because we are learning from each other. We're learning from each other and there's support in that, right? And so I so focused on just sharing the real stories of stepmoms.
that's perfect because that's what we need. That's what all we need to hear that it's okay to feel a certain way, but in a way like don't stay there for too long. When you said we made mistakes, like yeah, I made mistakes. I kept making the same mistake all over again at some point, but then I had some sort of light bulb moment, and then it's like okay. But I can see that a lot of stepmoms when they said, oh, they've been going through the same arguments all over again, they dealing with exactly the same issue, for years or all over again. I would say, well, but you haven't learned anything, or you need to start being real and honest with yourself.
Mm,
First thing, you need to start being honest with yourself. And actually, okay, I've been here before, or I'm in this situation every week. Like, why is this happening? There's something, and I had to be there, and I had to got to the point when I said, like, there's no one else to blame but what I'm doing wrong.
mhm.
There's something I'm doing wrong or what is missing, I can't see or I don't want to see. And they just change the approach, and I just would talk or yeah, talk to your husband or partner about it. Because if you're finding yourself in the same situation all over again, then who's gonna fix it?
You're stuck in, how are you going to move forward? You can't move forward like that. You can't move forward like that. So you have to, change your perspective, step back and look at the situation, reevaluate it. Yeah.
And how easy it's stepping back, huh? Yeah.
Listen, not easy at all, not easy at all, especially, someone like me, like I said, it's a perfectionist. I'm a control freak. I'm a planner. It's not easy to step back at all, but I have to say that once I finally step back in some of the situations, it's a daily reminder, but once I finally step back, there's so much peace. There's so much peace once you finally step back. You're not trying to, like, manage everything and control everything. There's peace. There's peace, and like knowing that you're at peace with how things are. And you will focus on what you can change, and the things you can't control, it's out of your hands.
It's amazing when you said it's daily reminder. It's really daily reminder because I know beginning of my stepping back was sitting in the bedroom, nearly
Yeah.
biting my nails off. And I kind of like being like, oh, because you can hear, I could hear what was going on, and I normally I would go and fix it,
Hmm.
or take charge of the situation,
Yeah.
and uh, and I said, okay, I can't do it anymore. It's not my now. My husband needs to deal with it, or that was before we got married. It's like he needs to deal with it. It's not my business.
Hmm.
This is between him and his daughter. But I remember sitting in the bedroom and just, really just struggling. I was like, just
Yeah.
go out of the room. You're staying in the bedroom, you're not going outside, you're not going to fix it. Let him be. Trust him. So that was my stepping back at the beginning, because it was tough. And I was just like you, in a way, like you want to control it, or you need to feel like you're in charge in a way.
Hmm.
And so for stepmoms out there, stepping back doesn't mean that you go and it's like, whatever, and I don't care anymore. You will still care really much, but you need
Hmm.
to learn that, like, trust him, trust your partner that he can do it.
And
And
he's capable.
yeah,
He's capable of doing it. He's
yeah,
capable of doing it. So trust him because he's capable of doing it, and step back because sometimes you need to step back for your own mental health.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you said you found a peace, like everything was, become quite peaceful after you step back. Exactly. After I learned how to step back, and I said, it's actually working for me. It's
Right.
actually good for me. It's not easy to do it, but looking after a few minutes, it's like, it's actually good because I don't need
Mhm.
to deal with that anymore.
Right.
And he can sort it out. And I felt much more respect for my husband as well at that point. When he said, like, oh yeah, he can do it. Like, why was
Mhm.
I treating him as he's not capable? Brilliant.
Right. And it kind of sounds silly too, in the sense it's like we're treating them like they're not capable, but I mean they've been in their children's life from the beginning. We just stepped in. Like so why would they not be capable? And all of a sudden we're the ones who are the saviors and we're going to fix it. Like they've been in their children's life from the beginning. They're quite capable.
Yeah, I think that's like not making excuses, but I think that's for us, for women. We tend to bring it's something just comes out, or brings up for us to some sort of maternal instincts, or it's something
Yes.
comes up, and it's for us, for stepmoms, it's a bit hard to adjust, or a little bit kind of like what I will be doing now with this whole new energy, or whatever it's that it's just you suddenly don't know what to do because you feel like you need to fix it, or you need to save,
Right.
or you need to look after them. So there is a lot of, I'm sure there's some sort of science behind it.
Oh,
And
for sure. I'm sure it's in our DNA. It's embedded in us. I'm sure. But, there's not much you can control as a stepmom, right? And so we have to learn to step back. We have to.
Brent, is there any, like, something we haven't mentioned yet about what would you recommend to other stepmoms to do or not to do, or some daily reminder for.
Oh, there's so many. There's just so many. Let me think. Oh, okay. So there's the notion that um, the notion that things will get easier with time, but we have to get there faster. Like, how do we get there? What do we do to get to the point where it's easy? Like, what can we do to rush that? And it's like I said before, you can't rush it. It takes time. You can't, put fast forward on your emotions, fast forward on your growth, and get there quickly because you don't want to be in this space, right? Because you're either tired of the conflict, the issues, or you just really want to badly feel like a cohesive family. You can't get there fast. It takes time and you have to be patient. So that's one of the things I would say. Something else is I would say I'm a big believer in being upfront and honest with yourself. Yes, you be honest with your partner, but be honest with yourself. The journey of a stepmom is not for the faint of heart. Can you really handle this? Can you handle, the external factors, the internal factors that will stress you the hell out, or that's affecting your family? Can you really handle it? It's a lot. Being a stepmom is an emotional roller coaster. You're up and down, you're up and down. Can you handle it? If you can't, it's okay, but be honest with yourself, right? Don't go in thinking and ignoring those feelings and thinking you're going to be stepmom superhero, right? And then you realize that, oh, wait a minute, wait, no, I can't do this. So you have to be honest and upfront with yourself. If there's something you're uncomfortable with, or you see that this may not be for me, you're starting to date a guy who has children, and you're like, this may not be for me. Be honest and upfront with yourself first. You have to be. You have to be. And as you continue your journey as well, there, I have a lot of hard, real conversations with my husband, things that may be bothering me. And I'm just upfront with myself. And then I go to him and I said, this is how I've been feeling for a while now. And then I could be honest with him. But how can I be honest and upfront with him if I'm not honest with myself?
Exactly. Exactly. I was just thinking that, like, how can you be honest with the other people if you can't be honest with yourself? Then it just doesn't work. And it's thank you for that, because that's beautiful. Like, it's exactly the honesty and just being real first with yourself. That's when things start shifted for me, when I
Yep.
start, you know, getting into self-development, or in terms of
Yes.
being stepmom. That's exactly when I said, okay, this something is wrong, or something doesn't work for me. It was when I had to know, being honest and just like, okay, I need some help, or I need, talk to somebody, or I need to talk to my husband about certain things, because I've just been pretending. That's not good.
Yeah. And one of the things about being upfront and honest with yourself too is that you won't self-sacrifice. So just, diving in and just doing all of the things, like I said, to please everybody else, to cater to everybody else. You want to please your husband, cater to him, please the children. You don't want to ruffle any feathers with the mother, like all of these things, right? And in the process of doing all of those things, you start self-sacrificing, like, and you start losing yourself, because everything becomes about the fact that you are a stepmom and you're trying to prove that you can make this work. And like, you are so focused on just this, and like, you're losing yourself, you're self-sacrificing, like, do you remember what makes you happy, right? Like, what are the things that you enjoy doing? Just don't lose yourself in the process. So in being upfront and honest, you won't lose yourself, you won't self-sacrifice. And I think that's a lot of things that we do as stepmoms, is we self-sacrifice to make everybody else happy and comfortable, and then we're not even comfortable.
Well, that's just, I think that the best way to end this episode. Not like I had enough of you, but this is exactly what I've been talking about. And I went through as well, when you just lost the sense of yourself, when you
Mhm.
lose who you were before, and you can't even remember who you were before you became a stepmom or start dating someone with a child or children. So beautifully said. That's just the perfect. It's a cherry on the top of the cake, in a good way. In a good way.
Yes.
Like, that's exactly the ending that I was kind of hoping for, or it's just that's a perfect. That's just perfect. And
Aw. The only thing that could be perfect in our journey is
yeah,
that.
is that yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much for being here. But before we finish, where we can find you, and where we can find your podcast and on social media. Obviously, I will be adding links in the description, so people can find you easily. But where we can find you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Veronica, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. This was so nice. It was so nice to be able to share bits and pieces of my journey and some words of encouragement for the stepmoms in your audience. So thank you for that. So where you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, plus her journey. And you could always shoot me an email, hello@plusher.ca. Check out the website for more information. And in terms of the podcast, not sure when this episode will air, but I launched season 2 on December 6th. So depending on when this episode airs, either my season 2 is in progress or will be launching. So December 6th, and it's available on all major streaming platforms and Sundays 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will be again adding the link so people can easily find you. And it was pleasure talking to you. And we did I was a guest on your podcast, so your episode will be in a few weeks live, and then I know that my episode with you will be a little bit later. So
Right.
I love it. It's gonna be something really futuristic. So thank you very much. It was really a pleasure talking to you again, and I hope we will do more episodes in the future together because it's been great talking to you. And thank you
Absolutely.
so much for all the tips and everything you said because I'm sure that there will be a lot of stepmoms learning a lot from this episode.